Welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits.
Bing bong!
Coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California. Hey, everyone. This is Liza. And I'm just going to start by saying Knock is an idiot. And I will get to that. Yes, I'm going to
Really?
ridicule him. Oh, yes.
You're ridiculing Knock?
Yes. It's deserving.
That's terribly
But let's get to
unsportsmanlike. Bad
who
show.
is here who does not deserve any ridicule. It's Stumpy John.
Howdy ho, everybody. What's going on? Hey, one thing I want to say is, before we get moving, is thoughts going out to the people in Texas who lost their lives.
Yes.
And the families.
Yes.
Yeah. Good one on that.
And I'm very sorry I made you blush, John.
You did.
Because I spoke quite sternly to John. And he blushed and got a little flustered.
It's the sexiness that wipes me out all the time. The pheromones are flying.
Are you sure it wasn't the spanking that got you worked up?
Oh, I do like a good spanking.
I bet you do. Oh, dear me.
And, of course, let's get to who else is here. The Queen Spanker herself. It's Miss Emma.
Yeah, I subscribe to Spankers Weekly these days.
Not daily, though.
No, not daily. I'm not quite there yet. Hello, darlings. Oh, it's simply lovely to be here. And, I'm just going to come out and say it. I like spanking.
Okay, I'm concerned with the direction this is going so around the
it's going
show.
to get worse
so
from here.
let's see if Neil can bring it back on track.
Neil, do you like spanking?
Not my favorite thing. Not my favorite thing. But I won't hold it against anybody else if that's their jam. So,
Well, I think that's the whole idea of spanking is holding it against somebody else.
yeah. Well, there's that.
Smiting them with it.
Am I properly up now?
Yeah, so
That's good.
All right, you tried and failed. Let's see.
Well, it wasn't his fault he couldn't keep it up.
Tim.
That's right.
Tim,
Liza.
can you save us?
Timmy!
Timmy.
Timmy!
It's good to be here for the second time.
Yes, thank you for joining us. You're a good catch to get
What is
roped in
What is Tim riding, Liza?
today.
Yes.
Are you on the
I'm on the orange bike. I guess
Yeah.
that
The
doesn't
brick.
solve it though.
the Harley brick?
Yeah.
There you are. It's a Harley Davidson, darling.
Tatanka.
Yeah,
The tank, the XR 1200.
yeah.
Very nice looking bike.
They are really one of my favorite looking Harleys, but not my favorite to ride.
No, it's big. It's big. I think of all the Harleys, there's only one Harley I'd prefer, but it's out of touch, and that's the VR 1000.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
That's
There's one right behind me somewhere. Yeah, no, I think that, to me, the XR 1200 is like a dumb blonde, like pretty to look at, but you don't want to try and hold a conversation with.
Oh, interesting. I don't know that I'd go that far. I'd like to hang out for a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Right. I'd like
You can have some fun times with the dumb blonde, sure.
go for a ride.
I know.
Hold hands, get to know each other a little bit.
No, I see that bike as something completely different. I see that bike as a very, very pretty sweetie who you love to hang out with, but will tear your arms off if you speak to them wrongly.
Really? It's more of a friends with benefits kind of bike.
Yeah, really.
It's time to put you away. You know, there's a time for it. It lasts.
It's
and
great
then I'm
looking.
gonna go
It's
home.
great. It is a great looking bike. In fact, somebody who I'm sure has very strong opinions about the Harley XR 1200, it would be Bagel.
Oh, there you are. Hello,
Bagel,
Bagel.
how do you feel about the XR 1200?
But my thought is it's big.
Well, everything's big compared to a Vespa, isn't it?
Mostly, yes.
I tell you what, we were watching a show that was from Beijing, wasn't it? And there was this absolutely smashing ADV 750 scooter.
Ah, cool.
Oh, and Bagel, I have a new scooter update.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was shopping at Safeway and they had Hot Wheels on special. 4 for $5, and I got the white Vespa from the
Very
2025 collection.
Nice.
Another scooter for the room.
Excellent.
But
Do you have the other colors too?
I have the red one next to it from last year.
Aha.
A few of us have been shopping, but we'll come to that in a bit.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
God.
But I just I wanted to finishing up the XR. I'll tell you what though, Tim, I think that Harley has missed the boat on a production XR 750.
Oh, yeah. I'd buy that.
Absolutely.
I would agree with
In
that.
fact, you know the trainer bikes that they have here in the States, that are those little
350s,
350s that look like an XR
Yes,
series.
Yes.
Great looking bikes. They're not selling them here, but an XR 750 I think would be.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
But what engine? With a standalone engine, with a yeah.
Yeah, it would compete with anything. It would compete with Triumphs. It would compete with Hondas. It would compete with anything.
Well,
it would be a good looking bike, but just less of a brick, more nimble.
I
mean, they had
totally
the
agree.
XG, but that really wasn't anything. It was pretty crappy.
Yeah, I just think that they've missed out. But you're right, Emma, too, in that they don't have that motor. So it would have to be a
right. It'd have to be a
motor.
standalone motor.
Well,
And that takes a little bit of development, darling.
let's put it this way. That 350, that's not their motor.
Yeah, I know that.
So that same company has larger bikes. They could.
But we're just hold your horses
could.
there,
I'm just
Liza.
saying.
There is a reason. Look, Harley Davidson is a company that is in the business to make money. And if they could make money selling that 350 in America, they would be doing it.
Well-
so there is a reason why they're not selling it to the public. And there's probably reliability or drivability issues with
Well,
it.
let's just hold on for a second there, Emma, because they did have the motor. And they did have that bike. Oh, I was about to throw you under the bus.
And
Come
here
on
he is
in.
to be thrown under the bus in person. Hello, Nark. Why don't you grab a seat and a microphone?
Well, you said anywhere. They're all working. But remember when they had the Street 500 and the Street 750?
Yeah.
And then they announced that they would have for the Flat Track Racing Series a non-street legal 750 tracker.
Yeah, but that never materialized, darling.
Yeah, but they were that close. is
No,
my
they
point.
weren't.
They were.
I mean, you can say
It never materialized on the street, but you could have bought it from them for the race series.
I've never seen one in the flesh or otherwise.
It existed. It existed. Not in dealers.
I would love to. I'd love to know somebody.
Do you know what
who
I'm talking
actually
about?
owned
Does this
one.
sound familiar?
That's a Pink
I
Floyd
know
song.
of the series that they were aiming for, but I don't think I've ever seen the bike.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
and I can't see the bike existing because the Street 500 and 750 were low horsepower, Indian built, just cruiser bikes.
Yeah.
In order to turn that into a big horsepower, reliable engine, that's a complete different engine.
I'm just saying they were that close.
They
They
weren't.
were.
No, I don't think they were either. Yeah.
That is saying the Boeing SST was that close to Concorde.
I will bring
There
it
is
up. I will.
you can say it. Oh, yeah, we've got a supersonic airliner that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Concorde's flying people all over the world. Tra-la-la.
That's a deep pull, Emma. That was a deep pull.
No,
all the
I
way
think
to
it's an
Boeing.
absolute truism, though.
Also joining us, a blast from the past. However, still get emails saying, I miss Nog.
What's up, dickheads?
No, they don't actually say I miss Knock. They all say the same thing. They say, fuck Knock.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's off the show.
And it's so funny you shout it because I said it at the top. Oh, and Knock is a ding dong. I'll tell you about it.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to say, I just want to set the visual for you.
I'm getting older, man.
I just want to set the visual for you.
Okay.
I got a call from Knock. He needed help. I had to rush over to his
You
house.
didn't have to rush over. I told you, you just take your time.
But what the ultimate payoff was that I stood there and watched him shimmy up a ladder and into a window. And I wanted to grab that photo of his butt crack as he's trying to get this leg up into this window.
Oh,
and
did
pull
you lock
himself
yourself
up in.
out?
I was breaking and entering into my own apartment.
And he's not as nimble and ninja-like as he was in his youth.
Oh, it fucking
And there was
sucked.
just that perfect moment of him just hanging by a leg and it's just a little bit of that
Okay.
ass crack showing. I'm like, ugh.
So
I was like, this is how I die, unceremoniously off my second story window onto a Jeep or some sort of ladder.
So the same thing happened to me, except I was on my own. and the only window I felt I could get in was the bathroom window. And so I was kind of 3/4 of the way through, and as you are, Knock, I'm not so nimble as I was when I was youth, and made the mistake of grabbing the shower curtain, which immediately collapsed.
Classic.
And then I ended up in a heap in the bathtub with the shower curtain, and I just had to lie there and have a little cry for a while until I decided nothing was broken.
Well, like once I got into my apartment, I turned to Liza. I was like, "Hey, that's your turn. Come on."
No, I just call him an idiot because he called me to help him get in, but then he ended up figuring out how to do it on his own. So I ended up just sitting in his driveway watching this happen, and then I just went home.
The truth is, I just wanted to share the agony with you.
Yes.
You know?
Well, it's
So,
important
Emma?
to have a witness.
And I know why he's here, and I shall tell you why he's here.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize about Knock is he's quite an upstanding fellow, and he's
Don't lie to them. Don't
and he's
give
been
them any promises.
somewhat instrumental in the raising of a young child who we all know down here called Sully. And Sully is away at the moment, so you immediately find yourself with time on your hands.
She's at camp.
She's at camp, and so you're here.
Summer is here.
Emma, repeat after me. I'm very sorry. I was wrong and you were right.
No, absolutely not. I mean,
That's the XG. That's the flat track bike.
But
That's exactly what I said it was.
But I have never seen one.
It's gorgeous.
Okay.
It's gorgeous.
I've never seen one in the flesh.
This
The
is
only
it.
reason it's competible is that Indian stopped racing.
I was saying they missed the mark that they never released that for
Dude,
sale. It
this
was a
is
race-only bike.
I mean, it's a gorgeous bike.
I know.
Dude, if that had 17s and if it was released to the public,
I mean, the
I don't
base-
know
I'm
how it would have
saying,
been,
there
but
you
it
go.
would have been like a
Emma?
fun bike.
The base on that is a street
No.
750, but it's not. That wasn't a good
absolutely
bike.
never.
I was right.
No.
Oh, is that what you want?
That's
All
a
right, of
500.
course, I'm always right.
You were right and I was wrong. Was that convincing?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like Harley always does like just the most wonderful orange anytime they do it. KTM is nice, but Harley's got that. It's like a classic.
Absolutely.
No,
like
it's-
your
it's-
bike outside.
Absolutely.
No, it's a different orange.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
beautiful.
a chunkier orange. KTM orange, I find a bit wishy-washy. I know that's, I'm very finicky with
It's
orange.
very Euro.
It is a Euro color. It's Harley orange.
Euro orange, yeah.
Knock, are you joining us tonight?
I think I'm going to sit here for a little bit.
Do
Yeah,
you
I
know who our guest is tonight?
No, who? Me?
No, you don't know, and I guess I'm going to announce it. No, our guest calling in soon is Peter Egan.
It's from the TV show? No, I'm just gonna
Oh,
generally
God
say-
almighty.
Have you ever read Cycle World magazine?
No,
Yes.
no, he hasn't.
Yeah.
I'm actually completely illiterate. I'm just off memories and icons. That's all.
Well, there you go. He's probably, what'd you guys say, the number one moto journalist in America?
What are you guys going to talk to him about?
Yeah, he was for sure.
Moto stuff.
Oh, okay, of course. I thought
But
it was like
First,
macrame or something.
before Peter Egan comes on, I wanted to talk about good-looking Harleys. We went to the Hollister bike route.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
we
you really?
Yeah.
Did you have a good time?
Some very good
We had a time.
Harleys. So I'm just going to be honest. Here's the spin. Emma's trying to keep everything like nice and sweet. And
No, I'm
smells like
not.
roses.
But,
And
I think
so first
there's a
thing
place
I
for
want to
everyone.
say is that this is the first time the rally has come back after 8 years
right.
of being shut down.
Yes.
And we always look forward to going to the Corbin factory,
Yes.
Right.
who has always had a satellite event to the big rally that's downtown.
Well, all the shops do.
Hmm.
Did.
Right. And he would have vendors and stunt shows and food, and that was its own little party.
Sure.
In fact, Emma, we famously, there's a picture of us with Mike Corbin, Craig Vetter, and Sonny Barger.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Right. We're all hanging out together. Like, what a
And in
weird,
fact-
weird world that was, right?
Yeah.
I pulled Sonny to one side, and somebody took a picture of me and Sonny, and that's still hanging up in my shop from that same. And that was from, God dang, that was 6 years ago, I think.
Are you charging Sonny
at least.
royalties to have your likeness represented in photos?
Well,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and here's the deal, and I want to say first off that Mike Corbin himself is a bigger person than I am. I'm just saying that. So here's what happened. That was a disappointment. When the rally shut down eight years ago, Mike and Corbin Factory continued to have their little satellite event and kind of kept it going. And we've been going out there, doing it there. Now that it has officially come back, they sort of shut him down. And he was not allowed to continue participating in it.
No kidding.
On his parking lot, on his private property?
Yes,
hang out and
I
do
will
shit?
explain.
That's wild.
And he himself said, because I said, dude, I want to like tell the world, like, you got screwed over because you've been keeping this flame going and you've always had, to me, a better event than what's happening downtown.
Mm.
And he's like, no, I don't want to cause any trouble. He's a sweet guy. But what happened was there's a new board representing Hollister. And he said they're going broke. They need money. So they're just looking at every way that they can charge for stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that and I think, I'm guessing, this is my own speculation, that this board in Hollister has there are no motorcyclists in the board. And I think that there's this perception that biker rallies can be dangerous. So they created a thing that said,
That's not wrong.
for
but I
every
get it.
33 people you expect, you need to hire one full-time security guard or police officer for every 33.
Oh, my God.
And so the amount of people that he usually expects to draw, he said it was going to cost him $15,000 to $20,000 to hire security guards to stand around, even though there's no history of any situation ever occurring
That's dumb.
at his event
I
or
think,
downtown.
I think one-to-one is more appropriate in my case. I would have liked my own personal security guard.
And he also said that, like, they said that if you're going to put up a pop-up tent, you have to get a permit from the building department.
Oh, God.
So they've just made it very
So
difficult.
they just red taped them to
And
death, basically.
That's
again,
ridiculous.
I have no information if
Lame.
there's some speculation that they were just trying to keep all the business downtown and not these satellite businesses like the Indian dealership and Corbin. And it sucks, and it sucked for him.
Yeah.
So I went there, me and John went there, and Emma and Jim, you went there, I assume?
Yes.
Just go support. And I said, hey, I'm here to support you and your business. But for him, it was just another day of usual business, nothing special going on.
Okay, so like he just opened his parking lot area but didn't set up anything.
Business
and-
as usual.
I mean, Corbin's is open on Saturdays anyway.
Yeah.
And I'd say there was probably, if you go there on a regular Saturday in the summertime, there's probably 50 bikes. You know, there's a couple of guys who are walking around, you know, a few guys having their seats actually custom made. You know, it's a service that they offer down there.
Yep.
And just visiting, you know, the facility. Well, you know, there were probably 100. So, you know, not many more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was unfair. That was my assessment. But like Mike said, I told him, I'm going to say something on the show. And he goes, no, don't want to cause any trouble. I'm like, well, I'm going to share my opinion. That's why I'm saying these are all my opinions and speculation. That's all.
Right.
But Emma, you don't know this. I did do something cool, very, very cool at the Corbin Factory. In fact, I was able to check something off of my motorcycle experience.
Did you leave it in the
list.
restroom, darling?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I packed it in a little red bag. I got to ride our friend Mike Moore. He was there
Oh, you got to ride the Knuck.
on his 1947 Knucklehead, beautiful blue and white bike.
Toe to go, baby.
And this is the first time I got to ride a foot clutch bike.
What's that? Like,
How'd you do?
yeah.
John, how'd I do?
She did great.
you
Is
know,
it like driving a VW?
the thing is with those bikes, whenever we go to the one show, we're always absolutely enthralled, as everybody else is, with the Cossacks.
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand how those bikes work, you understand that is the only bike that the Cossacks could use.
Right.
You need basically a hand shift foot clutch bike that you can set the clutch at any point
Right.
and it'll stay there. So you can kind of get halfway through the friction zone and leave it there. Just take your foot away and it'll stay there.
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing I didn't realize. I assumed that a foot clutch would be like a car where it's a spring-loaded push
Oh,
down
no.
and pops back. It's not. It's almost like a foot
rocker, yeah.
toe heel shifter
Right.
that you put your foot on and you're rocking it back and forward, so you can stick it in any position. Does that make
that's
sense?
not the clutch, that's the gear?
So
Or-
heel
No,
down.
that's the clutch.
Okay.
The gear shift is a gate on
Gotcha.
the side of the tank.
Gotcha.
So heel down to disengage the clutch.
Yeah.
And then toe down to engage it slowly.
Now-
Feathering.
Now,
okay.
just to throw some more confusion in the mix, Indians were completely different. They were heel to go.
Oh, interesting.
What a very common modification on an Indian. They reversed it, so it became toe to go, which basically means you push it forward to go, to engage the clutch, hence toe to go. And it's a lot more logical. I mean, I've ridden both.
Well, see, now I got to add that to my list because I was putting on my list the types of controls. So I've ridden like a matchless with reverse controls.
Yes.
And of course, like DCT with no controls. I haven't ridden a Honda Matic, but
Yeah.
I was just, and of course, scooters. Like I was thinking of all the different like clutch and control, systems. And I'm like, ooh, I can check that off the list. So now it seems like I got to ride an Indian.
Now, Leslie, have you ridden a hand shift scooter like a vintage Vespa? You need to do that.
With a four-speed twist grip.
Where you pull the clutch in and then twist.
Yeah, and twist.
I think, did I ride one of yours?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, hey, Bagel,
Maybe-
what's up?
Maybe the
Hey,
Stella?
Leslie, we're here.
Oh, hey, not.
Oh, he's up there on the TV.
I guarantee she hasn't ridden the left, the gear shift twist with the gate on it, like the Heinke Heinkel.
Oh, it's not the Heinkel, no, yeah.
Yeah, because that's got the gate.
Wait, is it like an anti-first gear gate?
Well,
or
no, what the
anti-neutral
gate is, you can't let the clutch out unless it's in an absolutely specific position.
Okay.
There's this
Right.
little gate on the gear shift.
Oh,
on,
gotcha.
on the hand shifter. But
Yeah.
the problem with that, though, is that the cables need to be
I
adjusted
know.
exactly right because the index is in that hand shifter, too. So if you have lots of play in your cables, it's not going to necessarily line up at the gearbox.
And you can't let
which you
the
want.
clutch out or go anywhere.
Right.
But your Heinkel rides well. And I mean, that little DKW Hummingbird that I take care of Reggie's has got the gated shifter as well, which is just 3-speed. I think that was a German. So you need to ride a gated
And
shifter.
what I'm going to throw into that list, I think maybe a lot of riders haven't ridden something like a Zero because, like knock right, those controls are completely different because you're using less brake and really throttling down and using the regenerative.
Oh, no, you
brake
need
braking.
brakes.
Yeah, depending how much reason it's
No,
dialed in within
I'm
the
just
system.
saying it's a different system.
Right.
It's all different, yeah.
Yeah.
The controls are in the same place. You just have to use them a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, basically going and stopping is on the right, but any other controls that you
But
have
the
on the
action
left
is
are gone.
completely different.
Yeah.
So, can you think of any others, Emma, that I need to do? And have you all done any like European reverse controls or anything?
My buddy's BSA once. He was a Gold Star.
Yeah.
Actually, the shifting was on the right side.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a Tiger that was right side shift.
My 72 Bonneville was right hand shift.
All right.
Are there any bikes with a thumb throttle?
Oh,
Well,
I've seen people modify their bikes with a thumb throttle, like they do for
Just
their ATVs and stuff.
Ski-Doo.
Yeah, quads and three wheelers had that.
I know a guy that's suffered a loss of his left arm, and the clutch and the brake are on the right handlebar. He operates them with separate fingers.
That's pretty rad.
That is
It's
rad.
amazing.
Yeah, is it like a hydraulic or is it like just cables?
The brake, it's a regular system, so it's a cable clutch and a hydraulic.
That's crazy.
He swaps all his modern bikes over,
Yeah,
and he's fast.
That's rad.
Rides dirt bikes, does track days.
and dirt bikes. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's amazing.
But I think within reason, Liza, I mean, you've ridden left-hand shift bikes, you've ridden right-hand shift bikes, now you've ridden a hand shift bike. You need to ride an Indian with a heel to go.
Yeah, now I
Although
got to
they're
add that to the list.
They're getting hard to find because most people are changing them over to toe to go now. You need to ride a Vespa with the manual transmission on the left grip. And then you need to ride something German with a gated twist grip, with a gated gear shift on
I'll
it.
have to bring my Heinkel down there next time.
Make sure the cables are adjusted.
And then the only other variation, I don't know if you met him, John. The guy I met at Vintage Days who only has a left arm.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
And so he's taken all of the controls and put them. No, he has a right hand. No.
Right arm, I think.
Right arm. Yeah, you remember that.
Charlie, right?
We're very close.
Yeah.
And so he put all of his clutch, brake, and throttle are all on one control, one side, and which sounds crazy. And I don't think I could ride that bike. And I met him on the racetrack.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm like, what? You're riding all the controls and one-handed on the racetrack. Now, it was a parade lap, not a real race, but it's a race for me.
And he rode dirt too, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Charles.
Yeah.
Charles.
Charles, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that was that. Emma, I'm not even sure you could master.
Oh, no,
that
I wouldn't even attempt to.
I don't know. I mean, it's always fun to get on a bike that has something different. And, learning to ride that Harley where Mike just said, yeah, so you just got to do this, you got to do that, and to be able to then apply it and go was pretty cool. But I bet you somebody who's done all of the different controls,
All of them and more.
All of the variations we're about to find out. I bet you Peter Egan has done them all. Peter, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hello.
Hello, Peter.
Good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
I'm wearing my Triumph T-shirt as I promised.
Thank you.
No, that's absolutely splendid,
It's the old
Peter.
school one,
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, I was just talking about I had the experience to ride an old 1947 knucklehead, and I got to do a foot clutch for the first time. And we're talking about all the variations of controls.
That's quite a different thing. The first Harley I ever rode had a foot clutch, and when I was 15, I wanted to buy it. It was a WLA Harley. Harley a guy had for sale for $100.
Oh, wow. Oh man.
Of course, I couldn't ride it on the street. I was 15. He let me ride it around a field behind the garage, and I had to sit there for a while and practice the whole idea of the foot shift or the hand shift and the foot clutch, and I made it through the field okay and did a couple of shifts, and then I pulled up behind the gas station and hit an oil drum and tipped over.
Well, this is the thing. You are known for these kind of stories. And for anyone who doesn't know who Peter is, I have personally declared you as the top moto journalist in the country. Fight me if there's someone who knows more about you and have shared their experience with. How many decades does your column in Cycle World go?
Well, I started working at Cycle World in 1980, and so it's 45 years ago now. I didn't start doing a column for Cycle World until 3 years later. I left Cycle World and moved in the same building to Road and Track magazine, and I started doing a column for Road and Track, and then David Edwards at Cycle World asked if I would like to do a column for Cycle World. So I started doing that and started writing for both magazines, and I've been doing that ever since. But so it's nice to have a hand or a foot in both.
And I wanted to say, what a life. What a life you've had. In fact, I don't know that opportunity exists anymore. So is it true that how did you get your job at Cycle World? You submitted an article?
Yes. I was working, I go back a little bit. I graduated in journalism in 1971 from the UW after I got out of the Army. I had to finish up a couple semesters, and I couldn't find a job in journalism anywhere. All of these big newspapers had closed recently, like the Chicago Sun. And so every time I went to interview for a journalism job, they would show me a whole file of heavily experienced ex-newspaper journalists looking for work. And so I went to work doing my other favorite thing, which was working as a foreign car mechanic and racing cars. And then I started racing motorcycles as well. But all through the 70s, I tried to get something published. I did a lot of short stories, and I wrote 2 novels and endless articles for magazines, and everything got rejected. And then I was having no luck at all. I was getting pretty depressed. And my friend Howard Sprengel said, why don't you write about something you're interested in instead of random novels about life? And so I wrote a story about a trip Barb and I took on our Norton Commando. That the bike broke down in Missoula, Montana, and we had to take the rest of the trip by bus and train. But Anyway, I worked on that story all summer and sent it in. And Alan Girdler at Cycle World accepted it, and he said, "We love the story. Send in anything else if you've got it." And so I started, in the next 3 years, I sent in about 4 more short feature stories, travel stories. And then I finally hit them up for a job. And Alan said, he said, "Oh, gosh, if only we had known you're looking for a job. You sound so happy in Madison." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have to start sounding a lot happier a lot less happy in Madison." Luckily, they hired a very good writer from England named John Nutting as their technical editor. And they paid a lot of money for him to come to California with his fiance. And fortunately for me, his fiance didn't like California and wanted to go back to London. And I'm going back to London. And if you want to get married, you have to come back to England. And so he left after about a month or two. And all of a sudden, Alan called me and said, "We've got an opening if you'd like to come out. We need you to start, next week." And so that was a very, very good phone call for me. It was one of the happiest days of my life.
It sounds
Nice.
very, very serendipitous, like it was meant to happen. But, as a transplanted Brit, that kind of resonates because I've had this, 30-year love affair with America, but it isn't for everyone. And yes, it really isn't. And California living isn't for everyone either.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I drove out to take that first job right after Christmas in 1980. And I was thrilled to be there. And we came in over the hills and at night, and you could see palm trees and the ocean. And said, "Oh man, we're in LA. We're in the LA area." And my friend John Oakey, who helped drive me out, said he just couldn't wait to get out. He said, "Too much traffic, too many people. It's too big. I got to get out of here."
Right.
But I be there because I was going to work at Cycle World, which was in Newport Beach at that time. It was in the Road and Track office building. Cycle World had the downstairs and Road and Track was upstairs.
Yeah, in fact, you worked for both. It seemed like really, the dream job, right?
It was a strange thing because I worked at Cycle World for 3 years, and I hadn't even thought of working for a car magazine for Road and Track. In 1980, cars were not doing very well. They were getting slower and more smogged up with smog controls and getting slower. And I wasn't very interested in where cars had gone anymore at all.
You mean like the Yugo and the Le Car?
Exactly. I didn't have a Yugo on my wall or on my bulletin board and a picture of it. And so
there's a small joke about the Yugo that you may remember.
What is it?
Do you know why they have a rear window defroster?
No.
To keep your hands warm while you're pushing it.
Nice. So yeah, you came out and had the dream job working both. I have to ask, which one, since you were trying to get into a job where your passion lies, which one was your true passion?
Well, as I was saying, I was, at the time I came out, all I wanted to do was work on motorcycles and race motorcycles and travel with them. And so when John Dinkle came down from Road and Track and offered me a job at Road and Track, and I didn't know what to say. I thought, well, it's a bigger magazine, and I know quite a bit about cars. I've raced cars for 10 years and worked as a mechanic. But I really wasn't sure I wanted to work for a car magazine. And so I went into Alan Girdler's office. He was our editor at Cycle World. And I said, "Strange thing, Alan, John Dinkle just offered me a job at Road and Track." And Alan used to work at Road and Track at one time. And he said, "Well, I haven't told anybody yet, but I'm retiring in 3 months, and I don't know who the next editor is going to be or what changes are going to be made in the magazine." He said, "If I were you, I would take the Road and Track job, absolutely." And he said, "Then you can write, you've got both passions." And he said, "You can write for a car magazine and you can do things for Cycle World as well." And anyway, so I decided, I thought it over and I decided to do that. And luckily, right at that time, late 1980 to early 84, engineers had started to figure out the problems of emission controls and bringing horsepower back, and cars were getting better instead of worse, really, for the first time in about 7 years. And so it wasn't a bad time to be there. And I made a lot of friends. I got to meet both staffs and work with all the people at both magazines. And so it really was a dream job. And there was a great deal of lucky timing in getting the job. And my first story that I sold to Cycle World, I sent to another magazine, and they rejected it. I worked on it all summer and tried to make it as good as I could. And they sent it back and said we wouldn't. It was a touring magazine. And they said, we wouldn't be interested unless you've got really spectacular photos. The story reads all right. Nothing special. And Alan Girdler sends me this letter saying, we love it. Send us anything else you've got. And so I went off in that direction.
So, Peter, can you bring us back to the very beginning, not of the world, but of your journey? What pulled you into this passion and lifelong love affair with motorcycles and cars and mechanical stuff and even writing? Where did this all start from?
I don't know. My mom and dad had a small town weekly newspaper. So everybody in my family, including both my grandparents, wrote columns for the paper now and then. So I grew up at one of those dinner tables where you don't make too many grammatical errors with your own hat. And but my dad was very mechanically inclined. He could repair typewriters and fix linotypes and printing presses, but he had no interest in cars. And nobody in my family had an interest in cars or motorcycles at all. Mm. And I don't really know what kicked in. I was interested in airplanes when I was young and read a lot about airplanes. And then I think I got caught up in the go-kart and mini bike craze that took me around when I was years old. And I built a go-kart out with an old lawnmower engine. Yes. And I built a mini bike out of a bicycle frame and a Briggs & Stratton horse. And I spent a summer riding a mini bike all over the farm country around our hometown in Wisconsin and visiting friends. And that was, of course, just at the time that the Japanese were coming in with inexpensive bikes like the Honda Sport 50 and Bridgestone 50. And so it was a good time to get interested in motorcycles and cars. Phil Hill was winning the world championship for Ferrari, the first American to win the world championship. And I started reading those magazines. And I was reading Cycle World and Cycle. And I just got, I don't know, something when I was about 12 or 13, I just got completely hooked on both things and really haven't ever stopped.
Well, I have to say some of my favorite of your columns are the ones, sharing your personal experience, especially on trips you're doing on vintage bikes when things don't always go all right.
Yeah, I think,
that's the gig, isn't it?
I often thank Martin for starting my career because, it broke down in Missoula, Montana. It seized a valve in the valve guide and hit the piston, and we couldn't fix it. Nobody had parts, so we had to ship it home Egan's moving van from Missoula. And I wrote a story about it, and that's the first story I got published. And I told Alan once that if we had taken that trip on a reliable Japanese bike or a BMW and it had been trouble-free, there would have been no story. It just, a couple successfully rides Japanese bike to the West Coast was not a real attention-grabbing story at the time. So it
needs to have what we call type 2 fun.
Yes. Yeah. But I've always liked traveling with unusual and I don't want to say unreliable motorcycles, but I like it's more fun to travel with something that's a little bit of a conversation piece.
Right.
You're just like the whole time you're on it, and you like the sound of it and how it looks, and it's a great way to meet people on the road too. It's if you have an interesting motorcycle or car, or in the case of our flight that we took an old airplane, people will come up to you when you stop and talk to you, and you get to meet all kinds of people, and a lot of them are very helpful. So it's a different kind of trip if you have an interesting machine of some kind. And of course, motorcycles just in general are more interesting to a lot of people than just another car going down the road. So
let's follow up on that. So what, you're always writing wonderfully about fixing bikes, and that's a big part of the column. What was your favorite machine to wrench on? And what was the one machine you think is like cursed? Like I never want to touch that thing again.
Oh boy. The ones I like best and the curses are almost the same.
That's like the best answer.
Yeah. I'm still a Norton nut. I've had a lot of trouble with Nortons, but I love Nortons. I love the way they sound and feel. And I think Barb said one time we were riding my Norton Commando across Iowa to visit some friends on a farm, and I accelerated around a truck, and Barb just leaned forward and said, "This is the best motorcycle there is, just for the sound and the way it accelerated." And nevertheless, I've had trouble with them, but it's still one of my favorite motorcycles. And so I don't know. I've restored a number of Triumphs. I went through the 60s as quite a Triumph fan, and I couldn't afford one when I was in high school or college. But so I had a series of smaller displacement Japanese bikes, mostly Hondas. But they were the cool bike when I was in high school. Steve McQueen had Triumphs, and they were winning all the desert races and they looked great. And I still have I've got a Triumph Bonneville, a 2016 T120 1200 that really was designed to look like a 1970 Bonneville. It's cranberry and silver, I think they call the colors. And so I still fall for Triumphs. And when I think about doing one more restoration, I can imagine doing a TR6C or either a 500 or a 650 trophy of some kind.
Nice. Those are some pretty nice bikes. Now, I'm curious, since you're somebody who's had access to so many different bikes, what's one you never, ever got to try? Is there a bike you've never thrown a leg over that you've always been curious about?
I'm trying to think what that would be. Not really. I managed to wrangle assignments. I always wanted to ride a Vincent, and for a long time I couldn't afford one, and I ran into Jay Leno up at the Monterey motorcycle races, and we were both looking at the same bike in the pits, and we got talking, and he said, "Oh, you've written about how much you like Vincents. I've got a couple of Vincents. Why don't you come up next weekend and we'll go for a ride out?"
Nice.
I really like this job.
No kidding. That's awesome.
The perks are great.
Have you ever ridden the Britain?
Jay Leno, he's really one of the nicest people in the world. He's just exactly who he seems on his program or on TV. But anyway, Barb and I we rode one of our motorcycles up there, and then spent a day. He got two of his Vincents out, and she rode with him, and then I rode. We changed bikes, and after that, I told David Edwards at Cycle World that I would love to be able to spend more time on one and see if I could really live with it. And he said, "Oh, that might be arranged." And he found there's a famous Vincent collector near Austin, Texas, named Herb Harris, who had quite a motorcycle, had a collection of them. He actually had the Bonneville Speed Record bike and a number of others, famous Vincents. And he invited me to come down and spend the day he had a 51 Black Shadow. And I spent the day on that. And eventually I came home and wrote the story, and then I sold most of everything I owned and bought it.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Then I had quite a bit of trouble. There was always a little something going wrong, that the timing would slip or something. And finally one day I was by the side of the road resetting the timing, and I thought I could sell this bike and pay off the loan on our house.
Wow.
And so I did. And
Wow.
I love Vincent's. But
wow. Did you ever get an opportunity to ride a Britain?
No, I never did. That's one bike I would like to. I've always admired those bikes, and of course they were knockout bikes and famous for their speed and quality and so on. But I never. I never met John Britton or got to ride one of the bikes, sadly.
Well, what have been some of your favorite bikes to ride? What have been some of the best stories that you told?
Well, I like for long distance riding. I just bought back one of my old bikes, which many times it's a bad habit of mine, but I had a 1984 BMW R100 RS.
Nice.
Silver smoke one. And Barb and I rode it to the West Coast and back twice. We went up to visit friends in Idaho and Seattle, and then down the West Coast and back to Wisconsin a couple of times. And so we'd also toured the Ozarks on it. And it had a lot of miles on it, even when I bought it used. And I sold it to my friend Rob Himmelman. And he took care of it and rode it regularly, but just the last year or two, he hasn't ridden it much. It was sitting in the back of his barn gathering dust. And I saw it sitting back there. He's got a very large collection of older motorcycles and offered to buy it back from him. And I bought it back last fall and just cleaned it up, got all the mouse nests out of it and the wasp nests, and put in wheel bearings and steering head bearings and so on, and got it running again. I've been riding that this summer, and it's a little bit of a sporty riding position for me at this point. I'm 70. My back isn't quite as good for sport bikes as it was, but it runs beautifully and it handles nicely, and having a good time with it.
Well, just curious because you're famous for talking about both British and Italian bikes. So let me ask you, who made bikes better? Brits or Italians?
Probably, I would say the quality control. It depends on the era, I guess, but I've had better luck with Ducatis. Most of the Italian bikes I've owned have been Ducatis, and I've had several 900 SSs, and I would say both the bevel drive and the belt drive 900 SSs are probably two of my favorite motorcycles of all time.
Yeah, I had a 900 SS. I love that one.
Which one? Which era?
Was it this 95?
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah, it's the belt.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm actually thinking about buying another one of those right now. I've been looking. I need a project for this coming winter now that the BMW is working, and they are not over. Ducati 900 SSs are not overpriced right now.
So how many bikes do you have in the garage right now, or in your shop? How many? Do you own?
Three bikes in the garage.
How do you keep control like that?
Yeah, that's pretty disciplined.
How do you keep control?
Years ago, I said that 5 was the minimum for anybody who liked motorcycles, and so I've let myself down a little bit. But we've been making some house repairs and so on, so a couple of potential bikes have gone the way of plumbing and paint repairs.
See, we have our own formula here for what is the right number of bikes. Now, you've mentioned your wife, Barbara, a few times, so I'm wondering if she truly is part of this equation. Our equation is D minus 1 equals the correct amount of bikes, D being divorce. So I'm wondering, has she set that number at all for you?
No, not really. Barb had a motorcycle when I met her in college. She had a Ward's Vanelli 125. And so it was always interesting because we would be somewhere at a dinner or a party and people would say to me, I'm surprised your wife lets you ride a motorcycle. And I'm surprised she lets me ride a motorcycle. She had one when I met her. That sort of stops people in their tracks. And she doesn't ride actively much anymore. She's had her own. She had a Harley Sportster for years, and she's had a couple other bikes. But we're getting to that point now. She's very busy with pet rescue right now, and I'm busy just riding side on motorcycles. So those have kind of become our two hobbies. But she loves traveling on motorcycles. She's been all over the world with me.
That's great.
Well, following up on that, so you've done all these epic motorcycle trips in the U.S. and abroad. Is there a ride that stands out specifically to you? Not so much for the destination, but more for what it taught you.
I think probably one of my favorite trips for just a wide variety of experiences was I got an assignment in 1981 at Cycle World to go to the Isle of Man.
Oh, yeah.
I've wanted to go there, of course, ever since I discovered there was such a place in the 60s. And so Barb and I flew into London, and a man who worked for Suzuki UK lent us a Suzuki 1000 a shaft drive, not 1000, it's a 650 shaft drive GS. And we rode from London up to Liverpool and got on the Liverpool ferry to Isle of Man. And then we spent a week there. And we wanted to go tour Ireland before we came home. So in order to get to Ireland, to Dublin, we had to come back to Liverpool and get a different ferry. And so we went to Dublin and spent a week touring Ireland.
Did you do the Wild Atlantic Way, Western Ireland?
Pardon me?
Did you go up the Wild Atlantic Way in Western Ireland?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. It was at night, so I probably lost a sense of direction there. But we arrived in the morning in Dublin on a Sunday morning, and but those two trips, I loved the Isle of Man. I mean, it was a place when we were there. I thought I could easily live here. It's like a little microcosm of England. It's got fishing villages and charming roads and small pubs, and of course the TT is there, so there's all this motorcycle activity.
Yeah, now, Emma, I would think around that time, 1980, that's kind of when motorcycles had really been getting all the power, but brakes and handling hadn't caught up yet. That must have been the worst combination for Isle of Man.
No, it's the best.
No, because the risk is the biggest. If you don't negotiate that turn, you're in a wall.
I mean, it was a very different rider back then. I mean,
They knew the limits and knew how far to push them.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was it like? What was the experience there, Peter?
Well, bikes at that point were pretty good. It was 82, I think, when we were 81 or 82. I'm trying to remember which year. And we had good brakes on the bike, and they handled well. I was racing 550 and 750 box stock, and so I was taking stock bikes and racing at Willow Springs and Riverside and Ontario. And they handled fine. I mean, if you put a decent set of tires on a typical 4-cylinder Japanese bike, the handling and brakes were very good. And so we didn't have any trouble. But we weren't trying to race at the Isle of Man. They open the track between every session. You can ride around. And then they open the mountain section on Sunday, and they have Mad Sunday. That gets a little crazy and hairy. But I think to appreciate the Isle of Man in that era, it's interesting to watch V for Victory with Joey Dunlop having a camera on his Honda B4 doing a lap at the Isle of Man and commenting on it, because you see approximately how fast bikes were going just a little later than when we were there, and it's quite something to watch. It's so exacting. You really have to know where you're going, or you can get in trouble quickly.
And so I'm curious too. I think your success is because you're sharing your personal stories and your personal experiences. But I'm curious if there's ever been any controversial things that had any kind of lashback. Was there any things that got people whipped up about?
Yeah, I had a little lashback at Road and Track. I wrote a column called "How to Drive." It had advice like, if you're on the interstate and driving in the left lane, in the fast lane, and people are swerving around you and giving you dirty looks as they go by, maybe you should be over there and they should be where you are.
Yep.
How dare you?
Yeah, such a controversial opinion and take. Oh my God, how could you recover from that one?
Yeah, I know, but I got a couple of people who said that it was against the laws of man and God to speed because
Wow.
speed limits.
Was this from Texas by any chance?
New England. And we actually got a death threat. We traced the letter to New Hampshire.
Wow.
Said he was going to come and kill us, and if we had any children, he would kill them too.
So he was more about the die part of live free and die, right?
I should understand that if somebody's driving 55 in the fast lane, that's exactly how fast people should be going. Going against natural law or something. It was a crazy letter, but so I went to the police and told them about that, and then he said, I'm coming out there right now to kill you and your family.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah. So 3 days later, there's a car from New Hampshire with a broken windshield, plastic, or a broken rear window, and plastic in the back, and the back seat full of junk and luggage, sitting in the house when I came home from a movie at night.
Oh.
I said, well, there he is. And I said to Barb, stay in the car. I'm going to walk around the house and look in the windows. And there's nobody there. And it turned out it was just a kid visiting a friend from
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway,
Wow.
threat, but I haven't had too much pushback on things. I try not to get real offensive. Probably in person, I'm a lot more capable of offending people. And when I get to read what I've written, I can go through it and say, okay, that's probably not such a good idea. No sense alienating all these people. And so I tend to clean things up a little bit, probably.
Wow. Well, you've done a lot of great trips, and often you'll choose a bike that I'm going to say might not be the most suitable bike for that trip. As you said yourself, you kind of like the finicky ones. I'm curious if there's any trips that you just regretted getting into, or just let us know what was the hardest trip that you actually got through and you're like, wow, I did that. I'm never doing it again, though.
Probably one of the hardest trips, even though it was one of the most memorable, which is always the case, I guess. When I was in college in 1968, I think it was, my roommate Pat Donnelly and I we were both working on a railroad section crew for the summer, and we decided to take off a week early and ride to the Gaspé Peninsula in Canada, which was a long way out there. But I'd taken a geology course that had pictures of the Gaspé Peninsula and all these pretty charming fishing villages and people speaking French and French restaurants. And I thought I was taking French courses too, so it'd be a good chance to try my rusty French. And I'll take a motorcycle ride somewhere that looks interesting. And my roommate agreed. He had taken the same courses. And so I had my Honda CB160, and his bike had broken, and he borrowed my brother-in-law's Honda 305 Dream. Mm-hmm. We took off from Madison, Wisconsin, and went through Detroit and into Canada, and went up to as far as Montreal. And we pretty much ran out of money and time by the time we got to Montreal, and we were less than halfway there. It was cold and raining a lot of the time. And of course, this was 1967 or 68, and we were too cool to take rain gear because that wouldn't look neat. And jacket, and we had a small pup tent that really wasn't very waterproof and inadequate everything. And we had to camp soaking wet, in this tent, and then get on the bike again and ride through the rain the next day. So we had some adventures on the trip. It was interesting, and I wrote a story about it. But it wasn't a trip I'd want to repeat. I wouldn't say I need to go there, and I need to get a Honda 160 and try to go to Montreal and back in the rain and in the cold autumn weather. So that was a very long trip, and we were very glad to get home.
Sounds like an episode of Top Gear, right?
It does. So I got to know you through your column Leanings in Cycle World. I remember, as a teenager, just reading back issues of Cycle World and reading those, and it really impacted me, and I know it impacted a lot of other riders. Do you have a favorite column from that season, from the Leanings, or a moment that still resonates with you?
Well, I think it probably doesn't mean as much to the readers, but my favorite column is, for me, it probably is one that I wrote about Barb getting a motorcycle. I came home from Vietnam and went back to school, and my parents had sold my CB160 while I was gone, which I wanted them to do because I wanted to get a better motorcycle when I got home, a Triumph. And of course, I went back to school, and I couldn't really afford to buy another bike right then. And Barb and I had just gotten married. And so she knew I wanted a motorcycle, and I didn't brood on it too much, but she knew I loved motorcycles. And so one morning we woke up and there was an old pickup truck sitting in front of our house that we were renting, and we were renting the upstairs of a house in Madison. And I said, "That's funny, there's an old red pickup truck in front of our house." And she said, "Oh, I borrowed that from a doctor at work." Barb is a physical therapist, so she was working at the hospital. So I borrowed that from a doctor at work so we can go and get your birthday present.
Aw.
Hey, what could she possibly need a truck for? And I said, "I know what it is. I want a bigger toolbox, and it won't our Volkswagen. I want one of the Craftsman boxes, and it won't fit in our old Beetle." So I said, "I'm sure we're going to Sears to get a toolbox." And we rode towards Sears, and then Barb said, no, keep going, past Westtown. And she said, just keep going. And we went down to, I'm trying to remember the name of the town now. It's on the Mississippi River, but there was a Honda dealer there. And when I realized we were going to that town, I said, I think I know why we're going there. Stark's Honda is there. They were famous for slightly discounted bikes. And so we walked in on a winter day, February 6th, and there's a green CB350 with a sold tag on it that says Egan on the handlebars.
Oh, that's nice.
And Barb has bought 2 other bikes to surprise me for my birthday over the years. But that one really got me back into riding again.
Well, she sounds like a keeper.
Oh, yeah, she is. And the question is, does she think that I'm a keeper? But I try to convince her.
Well, she did buy you 3 motorcycles, so I think we know the answer.
Well, you've also written about cars, and we're a motorcycle podcast, but there's a couple stories that I just want to get out of you that are, I think misfits here will enjoy. You drove a BMW Isetta from Wisconsin to Memphis, Tennessee.
Yes.
What was that like?
Long?
Yeah. Well, it was fun. My next door neighbor, where we live in the country right now, and right across the creek from us is Chris Beebe, who I worked for. He owned Foreign Car Specialists when I was a mechanic there, and we both raced a lot of old British cars, and but he's quite a car collector, and he bought a BMW Isetta and fixed it up and got it running. And he said, we should do some kind of a trip with this, and you could do a story for Road and Track. And so we were going to drive it down to the runoffs at Road Atlanta, and then something happened that kept us from getting there in time. We had to wait for some parts. I can't remember exactly what happened, but we had to pick an alternate place to go. And I said, well, let's just go down the Mississippi to Memphis, and then come back on small roads. And so that's what we did with the car. But it wasn't too bad, really, because you're only going about 35 miles an hour. But
That's what to say.
In the BMW Isetta, for people who don't know, I mean, Emma, would you say describing it as a clown car is accurate?
Oh, no. I mean, they're a great little car. I mean, Bagel's actually more qualified to talk on it because it's the same running gear. Very similar running gear.
Very similar.
It's probably the least aerodynamic car of all time.
Well, it's a little bubble. It's what we call a bubble car.
It's the sunfish of cars.
It's got a 250 engine that barely makes it cycle. So it isn't real quick. And we had a little carburetor trouble with it, too. It wasn't running quite right. So it would die on us once in a while, and we'd have to clean the spark plug. And but we kept it going, and it was fun. It was it was a good conversation piece, and you expect harassment in a car that's going 35 or 37 miles an hour. people were fascinated with it. They'd follow it down the road, and then they'd slowly pass and give us a thumbs up. So it made people jolly rather than angry, to be behind it. So it was.
It's definitely got character. I mean, you look at that thing, you're like, wow, that's actually a street legal vehicle. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Now,
go
ahead.
Yeah.
There's another trip you took, and Emma, I think you'll find this one interesting. It's just described as a trip you took with your wife as far north as the map indicated the existence of pavement.
Yes.
And Emma, can you want to guess what car they chose for this?
Something wildly unsuitable.
Actually, I think it's incredibly suitable, just to the end of the pavement, not beyond.
A Volkswagen? A Bug?
You want to tell her, Peter?
Took a Jaguar XKE.
Oh my God.
Okay, yeah, that's a pavement car.
Yeah.
Definitely. It wasn't really suited for any reason for that particular trip, but I had spent about 2 years restoring it and rebuilding the engine, and we were trying to figure out a nice trip to take with it. And when you live in Wisconsin, it seems like you either go west or east, and you go out to the mountains on the western coast, or you go to New England or the Appalachians, and or into the deep south. So I said, we've never gone just straight north. Let's see how far the paved road goes straight north of Wisconsin. And we realized that if you went up through Ontario, there was a road to a place called Pickle Lake. Way up, that just ended right there. And
amazing.
So we decided to drive up there, and the Jaguar ran fine. And the only strange thing that happened really on that trip was that on the way back, we had a Canadian cop come up behind us with a siren and pull us over, and he wanted to know what we were doing with that car up around Pickle Lake.
Well, the huge advantage with the Jag is the further north you go, the less likely it is to overheat.
Yeah,
that's true.
And you don't need air conditioning either, which we didn't have.
Right.
But anyway, the cop stopped, and he said, "Well, you were speeding. I should probably give you a ticket." I said, "Well, we're only going 67 or something." And he looked at his ticket book for a minute, and he said, "Actually, I have to admit the reason I stopped you is I've never seen one of these up close." He said, "I've up here my whole life, and I've never seen an E-Type in this part of Canada anywhere." And he said, the main concern I had was, he said, the people have been stealing these, driving them into remote places in Canada and flying them to Russia.
Oh, wow.
And, during the night, they fly them out of Canada over the Arctic Circle, which seems like a strange way to steal a car. But anyway, he mainly, I think he just wanted to see the car. And
they're always quite something to see, so I'm sure he was thrilled. Was yours a good color, Peter?
Was it the proper shade of green?
No, I didn't. This one was not green. Most of my British cars have been British Racing green. This was a beige color.
Okay.
With a tan interior. And some people loved it. I thought it was a terrific color. I almost didn't go look at it when I heard it was beige. I thought, well, I don't know. And then when I saw it, I said, oh man, that really looks good on that car. And so I bought it. But when I did a story on it, several people said, what a beautiful car. And I got a certain amount of mail that said, how could you pick a car that color? So I guess it's everybody has different tastes.
Right.
So, you lived through a lot of advancements in motorcycling since you started riding, or since you started riding. What do you love about modern bikes? And then what do you really miss about the older bikes?
I think what I really like about modern bikes is they start and run.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have fuel injection. I think fuel injection is so good now that I don't miss carburation at all. If I can't work on fuel injection, I'm a electronic idiot. I'm not good with anything that involves fuel injection and testing equipment and computerized testing. But I've had about probably 6 or 7 bikes now that have fuel injection. I've never had a minute of trouble with any of them. And I've had lots of carburetor trouble over the years with starting a bike up in the spring and it's all clogged up and you got to take the carburetor off. And my Triumph right now has pretty good fuel injection. I've got a Royal Enfield Himalayan that has fuel injection that never just starts immediately. It sits there all winter and starts up in the spring and runs perfectly. So I like that, and I like modern brakes.
Yeah.
I like older bikes for their simplicity. I'm not really a person who likes to scroll through dozens of choices as far as traction control and so on. I'd rather just I prefer simple motorcycles without a lot of frills on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I never wanted a sound system on a bike or too much complexity. But
well, here's the thing: you're known for riding all types of bikes, simple, complicated, and documenting these, when things don't go right. But your newest book, you've taken on a new adventure on a new vehicle where all of that can be life or death circumstance, not just a side of the road fun story to tell. You want to talk about what your latest adventure?
Yeah, I finally did a book that I've been meaning to do for years. In 1987, Barb and I we had an old airplane. It was a 1945 Piper Cub, very underpowered, small airplane, but a classic old plane that holds 2 people. And we took off. We saved up our vacation time, and we took off on a 6-week trip around the United States and landed at small airports and sometimes camped under the wing, but mostly hitchhiked into town and stayed at small motels. And when we did that trip in 1987, I was working for both Road and Track and Cycle World. And I came home with a lot of notes. I took notes I carried a small pocket tape recorder and recorded what we were seeing from the airplane so I wouldn't forget at the end of the day. And then when we'd find a motel at night, I'd spend probably an hour writing out the notes and keeping track of where we went and looking at the map and marking it off. And so I had a lot of notes and maps and records of the trip and a lot of pictures we took just with a pocket camera. And I had planned to write a travel book about it when we got back to California. But when I got back there, I was, of course, a little behind on work, and I was already working about 6 days a week between the 2 magazines and the 2 columns. And I just couldn't spend Sunday 7 days a week sitting at a typewriter or a computer and working. And so I just put everything in a box and set it aside. And I never did the story in all these years. And finally, when I was retired about 2.5 years ago, I decided to get everything out. It's time to do the Piper Cub story. But now I wrote a book about it it's more of a retrospective of the era and what we were doing and what we were finding on our trip, and not so much of a current travelogue kind of thing. But Barb is, I've always been interested in airplanes and wanted to fly. When we were in California, Barb and I both went to a ground school almost every night during the summer, and I was taking flying lessons. And she went to the ground school so she could understand the charts and radio navigation and so on. But about halfway through, she said, "As soon as you get your license, I want to learn to fly." And so right after I got my pilot's license, Barb got her pilot's license and started taking lessons. So when we lived in California, we bought an old Piper Cub and we flew around the state quite a bit. But finally in 1987, we took this trip around the country. We left California from Corona and we flew across the Southwest and Texas and the South and went to see my dad in Florida. And then we went up the East Coast as far as Kitty Hawk, up the Outer Banks, and then came across to Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, where the Cub was made. And then we went to Cleveland to see my brother and then back up to Wisconsin to see our families and old friends. and then made a diagonal route back to California. But the book is coming out. I don't think it's coming out August 12th, and Octane Press is putting it out. And I think they did a beautiful job on it. They had a really good editor and art director, and so I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And but anyway, it's called Landings in America, and the subhead is Two People, One Summer, and a Piper Cub, a flying memoir. So that's my latest project, and we're not flying anymore. I'm getting a little too old to pass a medical. But we flew for many years, as well as riding motorcycles and doing car trips.
I like this blurb I see here. It says, Peter and Barbara headed off into the skies, taking on a 6-week, 7,000-mile sky trip with only a pup tent, a wad of cash, and a change of clothing. But traversing the country from west to east in an unpressurized, visual flight's only 70-mile-per-hour Cub isn't exactly intuitive, leading the Egans into situations that required, well, precision. Can you share one of these situations? Now I'm curious.
Well, I don't know if it was precision or just luck that was required. The Piper Cub has only a 65-horse engine, and it's an early model, so it doesn't have mixture control. So the higher elevation you get, the worse it runs, just like a carbureted motorcycle would. It gets at high altitude. So it's really happiest under 3,000 feet.
Oh my God.
And 7,000 is about max altitude. And we had a couple of mountain passes we had to go through in the Southwest and in Texas that were just over 5,000 feet. And it took a long time to spiral up to get to 7,000 feet. So we would have a little leeway to get through the mountain pass. And we had a couple of tense moments getting through the mountain passes with various winds and so on. After that, it wasn't bad. When you get down to a little closer to sea level, the plane flies pretty well. But we made most of the trip flying pretty low and slow. We flew usually around 1,000 feet above the ground, and so you get to look at. You can see what's in everybody's yard and what the towns look like, and it's a nice way to see the country, and it's something we've always wanted to do. So we finally pulled it off, and we were lucky. We didn't have any. We had one or two little mechanical snags, but nothing serious, and made it back home.
Is there anything that you didn't do that you wanted to do? I mean, with motorized vehicles, I mean, what an amazing life.
I didn't win a Formula One championship. But...
Okay. Well, you're only a man. What can I say?
I discovered in both motorcycle and car racing, I did okay, but I discovered, especially in motorcycle racing, that real talent is like music in racing is like musical talent. Some people really have it and some people really don't. And I don't. I'm adequate. I mean, I used to race Formula Fords and motorcycles, and I think I got in motorcycle racing. I got into the winner's circle. I got on the podium once at a 550 race because 3 people who were really good didn't show up. And, so I was finishing about 9th out of 40 people. But when I get on a track and follow somebody who's really good, I say, okay, this person is in a different world than I am. It's so I've always enjoyed racing, but I've never pursued it except for as a fun hobby. But I don't know. I think I've tried most of the things I would like to try. I like sailing too, and Barb and I have done. I think at one point we thought we might at some point get a larger sailboat and do either a transatlantic or a sail across the Pacific. And I think we sort of ran out of energy about the time in life when that might have been possible. And so I wouldn't mind having taken a longer sailing trip, but I think that's about it.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your stories all these years. I mean, you've kept so many of us, captivated. And I have to say, even some of the stories I've read of yours inspired me to do some of my own trips and adventures. I'm sure a lot of other people would agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
same with reading the magazines. I think motorcyclists inspire each other. Just we hear about somebody doing a trip to Alaska, and we say, that's what I have to do next. That kind of thing. That's happened to me a lot. That's the good thing about the whole motorcycle community is people share trips and information and take off and have fun.
Yeah, bikes have that unique quality about whatever you're going to do next. It always seems like it's within reach. You just got to just pull the trigger on it, and just send it.
Yeah. I was hoping to ride to Alaska a few years ago, and then COVID hit. I was shopping for the right bike to go from here. Barb and I did a coastal inside passage cruise to Alaska. I love the place. We spent some time. We did a bus trip, then went up to Denali and Fairbanks. And I said, I just got to come back here on a motorcycle. And so when we got home, I started looking at all kinds of bikes that might be appropriate. And I realized that it would take about 2 weeks to get there from here. And then I would need another couple of weeks to do anything interesting in Alaska and another 2 weeks to get home. I simply didn't have that kind of time to be away from Barb and from home. And then COVID hit. And I was planning maybe to go to Fairbanks or Anchorage and rent a bike, which is a much better solution probably than trying to ride from here. But now I've reached the point where if I ride more than about 2 hours, my upper back starts to bother me. And I think my really long distance touring days are over. So I'm just enjoying riding on the back roads around here.
Well, I like those stories too. Well, I wanted to make sure everyone knows that this book, it's not out yet. It's taking pre-orders right now. And I think go to Octane Press. Is that the best place to pre-order?
Yes,
Yeah, Octane Press. I just searched for Peter Egan Landings and it came right up. There's a hardcover and you can also get a Kindle version on Amazon if you want to get that now.
And pick up a couple of his other books too while you're there.
Oh, yeah. You want to give a plug? You've written a few other books. You want to plug those?
Well, I don't know that any of my other books are in print right now. I think motor books might still have some. I get a small royalty check once in a while, so apparently they've stock. But I think most of my motorcycle books are out of print right now. So friends of mine who have looked for a book or they've lost it or something have found they can usually find it used online somewhere. But I've got about 3 books they're just collections from Road and Track and Cycle World of either columns or travel stories. So those are out there on the used market right now.
I got one on Kindle a couple years ago, so that might still be up on an ebook platform. Just anybody can check that out if they want.
That might be where the little royalty checks are coming from. I'm not
from you, John.
Hey, you're welcome.
Well, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories. You truly are a legend in moto journalism and a name that I think everybody knows. So,
oh yeah.
And I mean, for me too, I mean, you've been living the dream life and I envy it so much, but it sounds well deserved too, because you put in the work, you put in the what do you call it? The suffering to make the stories.
Yeah. It's sort of like a blues man, in the South. You got to pay I guess you have to pay your business or something. But I thank you for having me on. I was just going to tell you, I watched one of your older podcasts a while back, and it was to see Wes Cooley on there.
Oh, one of our favorites.
Yeah. That was absolutely one of my favorite podcasts, dear Wes. And that was a lovely interview.
Yes, it was. And Wes is such a nice guy. He was a hero. When I went to Cycle World, he was one of the leading riders in 1980. And it was a really good time for Southern California race Eddie Lawson. And
I've spent the majority of my adult life monkeying around with very large Suzukis, and I credit that mostly with inspiration from Wes. He was an absolute hero of mine when I was younger. And just seeing how he threw these things around, I'm like, I can do that. Well, of course, the reality is very different, but it serves as inspiration.
It is. And it was sort of a landmark. Wes was sort of a landmark character for me because right after I started at Cycle World. I got an assignment to ride back to Wisconsin and cover the first Road America motorcycle race. They'd never raced motorcycles there before. And that's my home track. I had raced cars there for years. And so Barb and I rode a Suzuki GS1000 from California back to Elkhart Lake, and we made it in 3 days. I think we averaged 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say quite a capable high-speed touring bike, the GS1000. One of my favorites.
Yes, it was. But Wes, we got to Elkhart Lake, and Wes won both heats. He won everything that weekend. He was,
of course, he did.
Yeah, he was the hero. So that was, and then Barb and I turned around and went back and did a story on trying to follow Old Route 66. So I got a couple of articles out of it. But it was great to be at Elkhart Lake. And it was funny being at Elkhart Lake because the police people there had never had a motorcycle race, and they didn't know what to expect. And I think they thought the Hells Angels were going to come down and burn it down. So they had the National Guard out, and they had
Wow.
patrolling the roads up and down and watching the roads. There are just cops everywhere. And they didn't know what to think. They're standing around, and this road racing crowd shows up, and they park their bikes neatly and get off and go and watch a race, and they don't burn anything down or have a riot or break windows, and they just didn't know what to. They couldn't believe it. Why did the National Guard get called out? So it was a different crowd than what they were expecting, I guess.
Oh,
We've watched the movies. We know what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen the Wild One 6 times.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, we were just at the Hollister rally, which was the location of the original event that started that whole Wild Ones, thing.
Hollister coming back from Laguna Seca one year just to see where it all happened. And,
at Johnny's Pub.
Are they growing artichokes or cucumbers or something?
It hasn't changed that much.
Yeah,
it really hasn't.
still
I mean,
there.
essentially, it's quite a sleepy little central California town. I mean, there's not much there.
Yeah.
No, it's just a nice little town. It's just happened to be where they stopped in, and people had a little too much fun.
And then they ruined it for the rest of us for decades.
Yeah, we just want to get loaded.
The trips I took, in fact, I wrote about this in Canada, the Honda 160 trip, having to park my motorcycle down the block from a motel and leave my jacket on the motorcycle and hang my helmet on it and walk in and register without a sign of being on a motorcycle. Because very often we would pull into a motel and the no would all of a sudden come on the vacancy sign.
Oh, wow.
There was a lot of that back then. It was... So but finally, I guess we met the nicest people on a Honda, and that started to change.
Nice.
Yeah.
My dad and his friends would go up to Sausalito and get that kind of. This was like in the early 70s, and they get basically run out of town. They were riding like Triumphs and Hondas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it took a long time for that attitude to change.
You could walk in the wrong bar with the wrong haircut, long hair or something, and you're really in trouble. When I was in high school and early college years, you really didn't want to end up in the wrong bar with the wrong jacket on or the wrong haircut or something. It was a little bit dangerous.
And definitely didn't want to ride one of these scooters to a biker bar.
No.
I know. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We encourage everyone to go check out any of Peter Egan's books you can find, but especially check out Landings. You can find it at Octane Press and Amazon, but I recommend the hardcover because that's the collectible one.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Peter.
Peter.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Peter.
All right. Good talking to you. You can just close your laptop and we're good to go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
So, isn't that interesting? Speaking of the bad biker image, if I ask you guys, what is the one iconic, like, Hell's Angels moment that really, like, put a lot of fear into people about them being,
I've only heard of
bad
this
guys?
stuff. I only heard of this stuff through stories and TV shows. I never actually, you know what I mean? Like it's all just like weird
Altamont
cultural. But yeah, that's that the one with the Rolling Stones concert.
So, yeah.
That's
Altamont.
If I-
Stones concert.
Altamont.
This
Yeah.
picture of them at Altamont, have you all
Yeah.
seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Of them beating a guy with pool cues?
Yep.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you something. Let's see. So you see them beating. I'm just going to blow this up. You see this right in the front, this like college kid watching it happen? That's my uncle.
Oh, no.
That's
really?
crazy.
That's- yeah.
Wow.
I'm just here for the Stones, man.
Right in the center of it all, there's my uncle in his little,
I've
crappy sweater watching it happen.
I've seen you pull
Wow.
that expression laser.
So that picture has just I've been shown that my whole life too. I wanted to share some good news. And this is an opportunity for us to give some advice to people who really need it.
Are we
Tim,
qualified to do that?
we are exceptionally
All right, all right.
qualified
I'm just-
in this matter.
Okay.
Is this
Solicited
solicited
advice,
or
even?
unsolicited advice?
This is unsolicited advice,
Oh,
That's
best
what we're
kind.
best at.
but I think
Psych.
this. I'll tell you what it is.
You should smile more.
As of as of July 1st, so just a few days ago, in Minnesota, it is
Oh,
now
yeah?
legal to lane split and lane filter.
Yay.
No way.
In Minnesota?
Yes,
In
yes.
Minnesota.
How
You
the
go,
fuck was that
Minnesota.
possible?
Well, here's the thing.
Andy Goldfein, our friend.
Here's
Oh,
the
man.
thing. Then we've always said, like, I don't understand why this isn't popular in more places. It makes perfect sense. But when I ask people in other states, like, would you lane split or lane filter? Oh, no, that's way too dangerous. I wouldn't do that. It scares a lot of bikers. So I thought this is a place that we are qualified to give advice and tips
true.
to not just the bikers, but the cagers as well.
The who?
The cagers.
Is that Harley Davidson speak laser?
No.
Surely you mean the people who drive the motor cars?
No. So
Motorists.
we're all here in this room, and Bagel, who I count is in this room because he's on the screen in the room.
Virtually in the room.
We have a lot of experience. Is
Yes.
it, for any of you, is it nerve-wracking at all, or is it just another...
There are rules. And there are rules that mitigate the risk.
Air quote rules.
Yeah.
Air quote.
Yeah.
No.
So,
Strong
no,
suggestions.
I mean, there are legal rules you've got to follow. But they also make a great deal of sense. It doesn't make sense to go more than 15 miles an hour beyond the prevailing traffic. So if the traffic is at complete standstill, don't be doing like 50 miles an hour between the cars. It doesn't give you sufficient time.
Don't be a squid.
Right. So 15 miles an hour is a very brisk running pace. And as long as you maintain that, you'll be fine. And that applies up to if the prevailing traffic's doing about 45.
So I'm going to
Beyond
stop
that, it
you
doesn't
there,
make much sense.
Because
Yes.
you were spot on with it. You don't go more than 15 miles an hour faster in the flow.
Yes.
However, they have restricted this to up to 25 miles per
That
hour.
I think is too fast.
Minnesota.
No.
You're saying Minnesota.
Up to the speed of 25
Oh,
miles per hour.
whoa.
They're
You're
saying
right. Wait,
after the traffic is reaching 25 miles per hour, now you have to
Right.
fall back in.
That's actually
Okay.
pretty
Traffic.
reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not California reasonable, but that's like Minnesota reasonable.
It's a start.
Exactly. I mean, you were on point with how we do it here. I mean, if cars are going 50, I'll do 60,
Yeah.
Right. And
But that's kind of
pretty much
And
it.
once they get over 50, then I fall in line.
Well,
But
okay,
for me-
hold on.
But for them, I'm making it clear, it's 25 miles per hour.
You're talking about like just weaving between the spaces when the entirety of traffic's going 60 miles an hour. I mean, which the gaps are huge back there. You're not talking about like lane splitting when
This
cars
is
are
splitting, not filtering, and we'll talk about the difference, right?
So, the other advice I'd like to give, use your high beam. Use your high beam unless it's at night when you will dazzle people.
Yeah.
But during the day, use your high beam. And if your bike can take an upgrade, and a lot of sport bikes simply haven't got the alternator power for it, put a good headlight bulb in your bike. So when people look in their mirrors, if they bloody look in their mirrors, they can see you and they just get that little glimpse of light. Anything that stacks the odds in your favor.
Use a modulator. Get a headlight modulator. It's like
That's
parting.
Oh,
it's
she
like
loves
parting
those
the sea.
things.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
parting
you
the
know.
sea.
And they work.
They do
I
work.
was
You know what
gonna say
helps
that
too?
too.
White helmets. Surprise, surprise.
So I would say
No?
No? I'm not so sold on white helmets, to
White
be
helmets?
honest. I have an issue with the color white as a color to be noticed, because I always thought, white is bright, it's light, you can see it.
No,
There's
it looks like a
nothing-
cop's helmet. That's my thing.
Well,
yeah.
maybe depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Except that I'm going to say I used to have a helmet like that, and cars acted erratically, and they would suddenly brake or slow down because they thought you were a cop.
Sure, that
Interesting.
can happen too. But my problem with the color white is that there is something psychological in people's minds that equates the color white with nothing. And when they see something that's white, their mind just automatically defaults there's nothing there. So if you're going to wear a helmet to be noticed, make it something that is a bright color like green or orange or high vis, something like that.
Cat vomit is
That
a good
will get
color.
Cat yes.
Or Emma, your favorite color, poo brown.
Oh, poo brown! Poo brown is the color.
Baby shit brown.
Poo brown. Poo brown.
So I wanted to.
But
go
can
ahead.
I also wanted to say a couple things about lane splitting. That it is inherently a more risky activity because the distances are much shorter between you and the other vehicles. The reaction time is less if something happens. And for me, when I lane split, although I have to say, living here in Oregon now, I really miss lane splitting. When I do lane split, though, I do feel like I have to be at my peak. Like I have to shift into that mental
bagel.
That mental mode where I am 100% on my game, completely focused on everything I'm doing and everything around me, because you have to be ready for anything when you're lane splitting. And if I'm not feeling at 100% of my game, like if I'm feeling off that day, like I'm distracted or I'm tired or I'm not paying attention, there are times where I just won't lane split. Or if I do lane split, I do it at a much more reserved pace where I'm not being as, pushing it to the limit as I might be otherwise.
Bagel. For those of us that are not escapees from a lunatic asylum,
who are you talking about?
Every time you swing your leg over a scooter, you're taking your life into your hands because they are indeed death traps.
Well,
so
yes.
every scenario is dangerous on the scooter, and we'll just leave it at that.
But it's degrees of magnitude here we're talking about.
Every scenario, merely looking at a scooter is a dangerous occupation because you might bloody buy one.
Just one thing, just suffice to say, buy these devices, buy these trinkets, high visibility equipment, whatever. Just remember that's somewhat of a passive system. And like Bagel said, be on your game, be smart about what you're doing, and don't try to overly rely on your equipment, as it were. It's a good
one thing
I'll
go ahead.
One more thing also, because this is a new thing there, it's going to take time for people to get used to the whole concept. It's going to take time for riders to get used to how to do it safely. It's going to take time for drivers to get used to motorcycles, zooming past their window inches from it, on the freeway. Give people some time, give them some space. Now, the good thing about the fact that this is Minnesota is people generally are very nice there. So I think that of all the states, this is probably one of the best test beds to introduce lane splitting, because I think there is you need to have a little bit of patience and understanding. And I have faith in the people of Minnesota to be able to pull this off and to learn how to coexist with this new way of doing things. And I think I hope it will work out well in the long run.
Well, and I wanted to clarify because there's lane filtering and lane splitting,
Yes.
and these are two different things. For those who don't know, lane splitting is when there is a flow of traffic and you are just splitting down the middle. Lane filtering is when there is not a flow of traffic, such as you may find at a stoplight. And this lets you to filter up to the front. And there's a lot of advantages for motorcyclists, which is why they do this. One is if you're wearing a lot of gear and it's hot out. Like, I can't believe this isn't available in Texas, right? You need to keep moving. So why should you be sitting at a dead still, right? But the advantage to the cars is you're removing a vehicle from the line.
Right.
Because the motorcycles take off and scooters take off faster than the flow.
Yep. However, I do find that in comparison with, I know you insist on calling them cages because you like this Harley Davidson speak, but people who drive motor cars, I find filtering is far more divisive than lane splitting. If I'm going to get the stink eye, it's because I go to the front of the line and occupy a space at the traffic light rather than filtering traffic.
It feels like you're cutting the line.
Yeah.
So the other issue with the lane filtering is that the lanes and surface streets where you're going to encounter that situation, they're narrower than a typical freeway lane. They're 10 feet instead of 12 feet, for example. So it's more difficult to actually do the filtering.
Especially if you're in a car, it looks like the bikes are way closer than they actually are.
And they are, because the lanes are narrower.
Well, it looks almost dangerously too close. You know what I mean? It looks like they're just right there, and it's kind of freakish. It almost feels like you're intruding their actual personal space bubble, like if you stick your arms out kind of space, you know?
And I can attest that when I invade Knox's personal space bubble, he does react violently.
Same way. I wanted to give some advice. You already said, high vis, and my headlight modulators, I see the cars moving out of the lane for me.
Absolutely.
So
my bike has a nice way of doing the high beam. It's got like a one finger right there.
Flash your light.
It's got the single finger right there.
It's called a pass switch.
Yeah.
Let them know that you're coming is a great way to do it. But here's the other thing. Look at everybody's heads. People, right before they change lanes, they turn their head to look in their mirror over their shoulder. Oftentimes it's just a glance in the mirror, but you will catch that little head turn. And that's what I'm looking at, heads, to see.
Get out of my head!
The other tip I would say is be careful when crossing a gap.
Yes. That's the most dangerous time.
You're talking about an open lane pattern?
Yeah. If cars are actually alongside one another, that is a far safer situation than you. Yes, the cars can actually give you the squeeze, but when you're in this open pattern, that's when cars tend to, I'm going to move over right now.
That's right.
Because the traffic is moving marginally quicker in the other lane.
I call those, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, super diligent in that time.
Yeah, I call those gaps murder holes.
Yes.
Get in there, you're going to get smashed.
So when I get into one of those, I flip over to the other side of the lane just in case.
Occupy that.
Yeah, so I swerve over and then swerve back.
Another suggestion for lane splitting is we have this urge to do it when we approach traffic, right? We're flowing and all of a sudden there's traffic, right? Everybody's slowing down. I always pause for a couple 100 yards in that period or a minute or two, because that's when everybody wants to start shifting lanes.
Yeah.
Once they're in the traffic, then they're kind of set. And then that's when I'll start to...
They're saying, I hate my life. I'm just going to sit here now.
Jockeying for position.
Recognize times and locations where people want to change lanes. And that's where you really need to tune yourself up. That's where you need to pay more attention.
Like when there's an on-ramp. Like when there's an off-ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
it's like you're not
allowed to do it in on and off ramps.
Is this the Minnesota law?
It's prohibited in roundabout, school zones, freeway on-ramps, and work zones where traffic has been funneled down to a single lane.
Okay.
Minnesota.
The other advice I wanted to give is until the public has been trained, and I say the public has been trained because here people yield because they just accept and allow it.
Whether they know
However,
it's legal or not.
When the public hasn't been trained, there are going to be people who think you can't do this, therefore I'm going to stop you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And even in this
vigilantes.
state, we've heard stories of vigilantes.
True.
I mean, I've had that happen where somebody just inches over to block me for no reason. Electric Terry had a story of a guy who was trying to hit him and chased him because he was like, you can't do that. Like, it's unfair. There's going to be a lot of that. So this is something to be very aware and careful of. This is the unexpected.
So California has pretty much had lane splitting for as long as I can remember, right?
long
Since
time.
at least 2 decades, right?
Since God made dirt.
Yeah.
Since God made dirt. Lane splitting's been legal, been allowed in California. They codified
it's been tolerated.
They codified it 15-ish years ago.
It
not that long
wasn't
ago.
illegal.
I guess like there's
was
a
only like
culture
5 years ago.
culture that's already primed for this, but like I said, like in Minnesota, it's gonna have to start happening, and that's probably gonna take like another a decade for everybody's like to be on track with it, maybe. Or
it'll take a while.
I would agree with that. And then there's the part of in California, motorcyclists tend to ride all year round.
Yes,
Car drivers see motorcyclists all year round.
Yeah.
That's another fact that we're going to have to that riders have to address in these colder states where there's a riding season.
Yep.
Right. The riders' skills atrophy, the car drivers' skills atrophy in seeing motorcycles. And then all of a sudden these things come together when the riding season starts again.
So Tim, as a trainer, do people learn better by a negative response to bad behavior or a positive response to good behavior?
Individuals learn differently, but in general, a positive response sets the lesson.
Which brings me to my next bit of advice. If people are allowing you to pass, or if they even like move out of the way, give them the thanks wave.
Yep. The goodwill wave. Yeah.
Give them the thanks wave.
Wave of thanks.
This is something that we do here. Except for Emma. She's looking at me like, you just flip them off.
Well, that's interesting.
I don't. I always thank people because, I mean, if I'm driving my car or I'm in King Kong and I get a thank you from a motorcyclist, absolutely makes my day. I think it's the most wonderful thing.
Yeah. So that's something, that's a tip. That's not something in the rule books, but it's what we do here, right?
Thank you.
Yep. I'm an anti-waiver. I just don't.
Just don't wave.
For me, it's to be completely honest, I take my focus off of something that's important to then acknowledge somebody.
That's a reasonable
if there's nobody in front of me.
But we're trying to train them. So
wave.
I'm just saying.
And then
give them the thanks wave.
Yeah. It's the wave. It's the funky down.
No. I'm talking to the car drivers.
I'm on the internet a lot. Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say is what you don't want to do is use revving your engine to let everyone know you're coming.
Don't do that.
Please don't do that, because all you're doing are blasting the people alongside and behind you. Yeah. And I myself, as a car driver, have been spooked by a big Harley coming by, revving their engine. I have my window open. I'm like, ah!
Well, I've taught. Part of my job is to also teach automobile safety courses, rarely to the military, but I'll get students in there that are I hear this engine. I don't know where it's at. I have no idea where this noise is coming from, and all of a sudden it's there.
Yep.
It's the only people. You hear motorcyclists say, well, I hear it. Well, you're a motorcyclist. You are in tune to this. Car drivers don't care. They're not listening. I mean, I try to tell people, the motorcyclists, it's the last time you heard a siren, could you instantly determine where it was?
Yeah.
And that's noise pointed straight ahead towards you. And you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Minnesota, congratulations.
Yeah, well done, guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid. Yeah. It's something that anyone can do.
Jump in the pool. The water is lovely. And
the one thing that I like when I'm doing it down Highway 1, it just reminds me the most of Luke Skywalker.
Trench run.
Let's
go.
And the X-Wing.
Yeah.
And you're
Totally.
just like, you get super focused. And sometimes I stick my elbows out
Stay
so
on
that
target.
it's the widest
Stay on
thing
target,
and make sure. Yeah. It's
He's
fun.
too close.
Put
Exactly.
that torpedo in your exhaust port, bro.
So yeah, progress. Congratulations. I think we can get to some emails.
Okay.
I have one here. It says, "Howdy, Misfits."
Howdy.
Maddie F from Milwaukee, Oregon.
Yeah, from a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it says, "I was poking around on Twisted Road, dutifully following my homework instructions when my wife entered the room and said, 'Hey, check this out.'" Yeah, remember where I said, "Don't just go Twisted Road, try some bikes."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dutifully followed my wife's instructions. The D in D-1 is a much larger number if you follow your wife's instructions. Good tip.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And we checked out a Facebook Marketplace ad from the very same local dealer who sold me my Vulcan for an 04 Triumph America
Okay.
with
Ooh.
7,400 miles on it, priced at $2,400.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Cheap.
Yeah, so
Wait,
down we
what?
went.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with this bike? Is it cursed?
You know what's wrong with it? It's a Triumph Cruiser, and nobody understands it.
So Emma didn't pee in the,
Okay.
in the
It's
airbox?
a good bike, but
Yeah.
nobody. It doesn't
It's not.
doesn't fit into any of the worlds. It's its own little thing. So he said, so down we went to check it out in person, and I knew the second I saw it.
Shit.
Took a couple of days to arrange for a buddy to ride her home for me since I'm a bit broken at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, so here she sits in my driveway.
Aw.
She's clean as a whistle, except
Nice.
for a dime-sized dent on the side of the headlight housing. Gasp, the horror. Anyway, thoughts? I feel like my next bike found me, but of course, I'm at least several weeks away from riding. Elbow surgery on Tuesday, so wish me luck. Well,
All right.
good
Oh,
luck.
wow.
Show me that bike. I wanna
congratulations.
see-
Was it a Triumph? What now?
America. Very good bike.
It's Merca.
Merca.
Yeah. Do your physical therapy.
Holy shit. Okay.
Heal up fast.
Oh, that's a great looking bike.
That's cool.
It's a Triumph Cruiser.
That's
I mean, it's a
cool,
good
man.
bike, but people don't understand that.
No, I mean they don't. It's like an American bike that goes, oh hello, how are you? Oh, good driver. No, it's fabulous. Oh, well done, man. Well
Yeah.
done.
Dude, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. No, you've done good.
Emma, you've got two things to read. One,
No, look, I'm gonna read the postcard first.
yes, we got postcards that came in large packages.
So I'm gonna read this postcard, and there's two of them. Greetings, Misfits. And I should be, before I even start with what's written on it, I want to take time
Yes.
to actually recognize this postcard.
Okay.
Because when you go on holiday, or back in the 1960s and 1950s, if you went on holiday in England, it was traditional to send a somewhat risque postcard to your friends back home. And so, the rude postcard, and Rude Postcard was born, and there were no greater exponents of this than Barmforth Comics. And Barmforth Comics usually feature northern-style men in somewhat compromising positions, and, women with their boobs out and stuff like that.
Hell yeah,
Nurses.
brother.
I mean, it's all
Hell
like
yeah.
good, healthy stuff. And so on the front of the card is... There's a guy holding a bright red R,
Yeah.
and his boss, who runs the shirt factory, is saying, put that R back as quick as you can, or they'll think we're in the ready fertilizer business. And the sign above his ladder says shit factory. This is classic. So anyway, I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about how great. And if you look at the pictures on the back, it's absolutely fantastic. So anyway, greetings, Misfits. We hope this donation of gently used gear can help some new riders get a safe, solid start. We know you'll get it into the hands of those that can use it. We will indeed. We love the show up here in Seattle. Our whole dual sport crew gathered together to watch the 600th episode.
Aw.
Zach,
Right. I remember that.
Zach would love to give a podcast shout out to Teresa, his girlfriend, his sweetie, who is passing out. No, who passed her permit test this week.
Yay!
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Great.
Yeah, and
yeah.
will soon be ripping around the Cascades on her Suzuki DR200.
Nice.
Yikes.
Rip it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thanks for all you do, and happy Pride, the Space Squids MC, and I'm going to name them.
That's cool.
Yep, I'm going to name them individually. There's Roxana, Ego, Red, Kindra, Zach, Todd, Cody, Garrick, Howe, and Teresa, and they all live in Seattle, Washington. Thank you, guys. It's a
cool.
very generous donation. This is lovely gear.
Yeah, thank you. They sent 2 large boxes of gear, jackets, boots, everything in there. And actually, Neil has already claimed the tool pack because
the
they're
tool
going on
roll.
the big adventure.
Well, there you
tomorrow.
go. But yeah, we will indeed make sure that it gets into the hands of people who can really use it.
Oh,
So thank
and
you.
there was one thing in there that I didn't understand. Yeah.
Oh,
that.
yes. So I'll tell you this.
Let me see this. Do you know what this is, Nog?
Let me take a guess.
It's a grease ninja.
It's like a coil of wire and a big block of plastic on the end.
I'll give you a clue. There are very strategically placed holes.
Oh, wait.
Is this like a guide to squirt grease or
Yes.
lubrication and do like
And you're holding it upside down.
Oh.
So I'll
this?
tell you.
It's a chain lubricant.
So I'll
Is
tell
it?
you how it works.
It's a big
When
crap.
anybody actually asks me how to correctly lubricate a chain, I always say the optimum place to lubricate your chain is to spray the lube on the back sprocket at the lowest point just above the chain. And that way, the chain lube dribbles onto the O-rings, which is where it should be. And you do that front and back and do a complete revolution. Your chain's correctly lubed.
Yeah.
So what happens? No, the can actually fits in that round part. No.
Oh.
The
Where your
can
thumb is.
drops in there, and then the squirty straw goes in the top hole,
Oh.
and then the top hole distributes it amongst the 2 dribbly holes
I see.
right up between the plates over the O-rings, which
Cool,
is where
cool
your chain...
tool down at the garage.
Very
Thank
simple
you.
tool. So,
So-
we'll have fun with that.
Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. We will find a home for all that stuff. John, you have a quick one there?
Yeah, I do. Greetings, misfits. This is from Kyle Lehman.
Hello, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
On June 21st, my buddies and I headed out to Arm and Vintage races at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We had an absolute blast watching the sidecars tear around the track. There's something wild and mesmerizing about seeing those rigs fly through corners like that. Yes, it is. One of the coolest parts of the day was checking out the Apex Riding Academy motorcycle simulator. They had an R6 strapped down to a crazy mechanism
Simulator.
that lets you lean the bike over like you're actually in a turn. I hopped on and I got some awesome tips for body positioning, from head placement to foot pressure. It even mimicked real dynamics. Hit the front brake and the system would pull the front end down. Roll on the throttle mid-turn and the bike would start to stand back up. Super immersive and a ton of fun. Even better, the crew at Apex is doing meaningful work. They support injured riders by helping them get prosthetics and get back on bikes.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
I love that. I mean, that's like Mert does that. I've heard of other
did
people
it come
do
with
that.
VR glasses, or is it just a screen that they're doing it on?
It did not say. He
Oh,
did not
'cause
say.
that'd be the pro move, I feel.
It would be.
Yeah.
Nice. And then lastly, Bagel, you have one?
I do. This is from Six Bike Garage, titled "Riding the Little RD200."
I used to have one of those.
Well, how many bikes in that garage?
Well, we know what the D-1 is. I'm going to pass a picture around of one.
It says, "It's been a minute since I've sent y'all an email, but wanted to share what I did a couple weekends ago. While I had ridden a few motorcycles prior to it, the first motorcycle I ever owned was purchased in about 1990 in Minnesota. A little blue 74 Yamaha RD200A.
Fantastic.
I rode it for a couple of years and then parked it at my parents' place. At some point, my younger brother bought it from me and towed it to Florida on one of those hitches that hold the front end while the rear just rolls along on the ground. He rode it there for a season and then towed it back to Minnesota. After that, every time I went to visit, I lived in Seattle at the time, it would make me sad to see the new layer of dust and dirt on it. About 15 years ago, I bought it back and found someone on Craigslist to bring it and another motorcycle out to Seattle for $100.
What?
Nice.
Man, that was before gas prices went up, no doubt. Initially, I thought I was going to restore it, so I stripped it down and put it into milk crates. After sitting on the shelf for about 5 years, I came to my senses and realized it was in good enough shape that it was better as a survivor. Only original once, right?
Right.
I bolted it all back together, and it has been a runner ever since.
Oh.
This year, I decided to take it on an adventure to Teton, Washington, near Yakima, for a cycle cart event. It would mean a 150-mile ride each way over Chinook Pass, plus whatever riding there was while there. It meant tackling a few lingering issues. The clutch would slip when cold, the forks would leak a bit, I think the front tire was original from new, and I needed a way to carry a bit of luggage, so I started working through them. There were some problems along the way, and I'm glad I started working on it when I did. I managed to finish the work a couple of days before leaving, and the little RD did brilliantly. It was so fun to meet people who could appreciate making the trip on a 51-year-old tiddler along the way.
Oh.
Cheers, Jason in Seattle, Six Bike Garage.
Okay, does that not sound like a column that Peter Egan may have written?
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, the RD200s have always got a soft spot in my heart because it's quite an unusual bike. It's actually got what's called a dyno starter.
Oh, yeah.
Which means it's got a dynamo that becomes a starter. And you know all about this with Heinke Heinkel, your HE111.
Has the same thing.
It has the dyno starter. And then the most peculiar thing, because you press the button and you're used to hearing a starter motor. It doesn't work like that with a dyno starter. You press the button, it just goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the engine just starts. You're like, fucking hell, what just happened?
You don't hear the click.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear gears engaging. You don't hear sprint clutches.
You
just hear the motor
button.
just go, whoo, 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 and then it starts running.
Yeah.
What a fun adventure. Now, I don't usually talk about what we have coming up the next week.
What have we got coming up next week?
Well, we are going to be going to Moto America.
We are indeed.
So we're going to have some reports from Laguna Seca, including it's not a race, because I think I'm going to take, this will make it a fair race. I'm going to take the Harley.
My God.
Because last time there's that picture of me on the corkscrew on the Niken passing all the Harleys. Well, now I'm going to be on a Harley. It's a fair race. Game on.
Passing all the Nikens?
Now, do you want me to be on my Harley if you're on yours? Because, I mean, I was going to go on Rufus.
What is this, matchy pair?
Well, we could do the Harley Fest because Johnny can do the Harley.
You know what, lady? Bring
Jake
it.
2.0.
That's what I say. That's what I say.
All right.
But also, I think Bagel will be interested to know. We're going to have our friend Chris Comley on, who completed the Scooter Cannonball.
Oh, cool.
Oh, shit.
And he's going to talk about how ruined his buttocks are now.
I'm sure they are.
And he's somebody who does the Iron Butt Rally, so I want to see how the Scooter Cannonball compared, if that was harder or easier for season long distance.
I'm very interested to hear his opinions on that.
Yeah,
I want to know what his radar setup is like.
Because I gave up on the Scooter Cannonball and went to Iron Butts because that was easier.
Well, we're going to find out. So join us again next week to find out all about those things.
And, we really should, at some stage, give a proper ride report about Hollister. We kind of did a half-ass one, so maybe we'll revisit that a little bit. And I can work on you being a little bit kinder.
Do you guys is there a Hollister fiasco that I missed about?
It's not a fiasco, it's just Hollister.
Oh, okay.
I had a thoroughly agreeable time.
I'm just going to say it. I am known. There's the common misconception that I don't like Harleys, and I always remind people, no. Yeah, I love the bikes. It's the riders that I hate, and this just kind of confirmed it for me. That's all.
Oh, dearie me!
I enjoyed all of the bikes there.
Not all Harley riders, Liza.
I know.
Was there a bitch fell off T-shirt involved with this?
They were all there. Anything with skulls was for sale.
Lots of fire too.
Chrome flames.
Amazing.
But yes, Emma, you're welcome to give your report if you want. But for now, I think we're done. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. and go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com. You'll find the links to our store. We got some t-shirts for sale, though I've sold out. Somebody bought the last 4XL. It's gone. Once sizes are sold out, they're gone. Not coming back. So,
well, 4XL, you can share it with your sweetie. You can both fit in it.
Leave the big boys alone.
It's a crude shirt, actually.
Yeah, check out our store, find out where we're going to be and what we're up to, and you can email us. Send us your emails. We want to know about your trips, your adventures. I want to hear about your Peter Egan style adventure. How's that sound?
That's right.
And you can send that to motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. And lastly, this is where I get to say thank you to our Patreon subscribers. You're the best. I so appreciate it. If you want to become a subscriber, you can, and then you'll find that link on motorcyclesandmisfits.com page 2. On that note, thank you, everyone. Time to get out of here. This is Liza.
I love you.
I love you too.
Give it the beans, darling.
Howdy ho.
We will see you next time.
Shake it.
Don't break it.
And we are out of here.
Cool.
Cool.